Hey everyone, welcome to another Flight and Tech Gamers World. In this adventure, I'm going to try and land an aircraft on the highest point above sea level. That's the summit of Mount Everest. I have no idea if this is going to happen. Am I going to land on it, or am I going to slide off and crash and burn? Only one way to find out, so stay tuned and let's do this. Okay everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to try the impossible. We're going to attempt to land an aircraft on the summit of Mount Everest. So let's go ahead here and search for Mount Everest. M-O-U-N-T space Everest, and then we can use the autocomplete to finish this up. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. We're going to select Mount Everest, and we're going to set this as our destination. So that's going to be our arrival point. 28,771 feet above sea level. Now, we're going to take off from this local runway, VNLK. Set as our departure. This is Lukla Airport. And we're going to set at the end of runway 6. So it is 21 nautical miles to the tip of Mount Everest. So we're going to select the Volocopter. We'll do the blue one. Why not? Now, weight and balance, I'm just checking here. It's all good. This is actually kind of irrelevant because the only way to actually make this work is to leave the assistance on, which is unlimited fuel, no crashes, no aircraft stress, anything like that. Otherwise, we would not be able to do this. But we're going to leave those on, so let's see how this goes. My fear when I get to the top of Mount Everest is that I might just slide right off. Excuse me. Alright. Lukla Airport. Alright, so we are on the end of the runway here. Our destination is that away, through that mountain. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off and head up that valley this way. And as we fly, we're going to continue to raise altitude. We need to get to about 29 to 30,000 feet to make this happen. So we'll do it in stages as we fly. So it's airborne here. Turn to the left. And we're going to head north up this valley. More like northwest up this valley. So the Volocopter does not have a very high speed, but it is very easy to fly and helps you enjoy the scenery and sights and sounds of the game. Look at the valley down there. That's pretty cool. I'd love to live there. House is built into the tree, into the woods over there. Up behind us is a nice little village around this airport. So, like I said, we're basically going to head northwest, northwest, up this valley until we make a turn to the east to head towards Mount Everest. We'll check out the base camps when we get there. Base camp 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then ultimately try and land on the summit of Mount Everest. So it's going to take us about, I don't know, I would say about 20 minutes to get there. But we can enjoy the sights and sounds as we fly. So Mount Everest is the highest altitude you can get above sea level, the summit of Mount Everest. If you can get up there, it is about 29,000 feet above sea level. That's pretty high. That's about as high as some airplanes fly. The tallest mountain from the base to the peak is actually Mauna Kea, but a lot of it, almost half of it, is below sea level, so you don't actually see it. That height of that mountain from the base below the water to the top is like 33,500 feet. So that technically is the tallest mountain in the world. But Mount Everest is the highest above sea level, the highest point you can get on Earth above sea level. Mauna Kea is a volcano, I think, near Hawaii. The big island of Hawaii, I think, is the biggest one. I've actually never been to Hawaii, but one day I'd like to get there. So I have to go by geographical references. So right now we're at about 11,000 feet, and we're just heading towards Mount Everest. I'm basically just keeping the flight stick pointed forward here, doing this all without any kind of autopilot or anything like that. Now again, like I said, assistance is turned on here, so there's unlimited fuel, no stress on the aircraft. Otherwise we would not be able to make it to our destination. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to land there even with this. I may land on this summit, assuming I can, and I might just slide right off the side. So we'll see what happens. Passing 12,000 feet shortly, 11,950. 12,000 feet. So basically with this aircraft, your max speed is like 50 to 60 knots. You've seen me fly this aircraft on some of my videos where I landed on top of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. I flew this around New York City a bunch of times. And this is just another scenic flight. I probably could have taken off at that airport up there too. The one that's Simbachi Airport. I didn't even know that existed actually. But that's alright. I need this distance to gain altitude anyway, just so I'm not sitting stationary. As I get closer to Mount Everest, depending on what height I am, I might need to stop for a little while and just let the Volocopter gain some altitude in a stationary position, because I don't want to get too close to Mount Everest before I'm at the right altitude. Sangbochi Airport. That's the name. That's how you pronounce it. Sangbochi. I'll have to check that one out. I didn't even know that existed. Now, if you want to have some real fun around Mount Everest and see the sights and sounds in a fast pace than this, I recommend using the F-18. Use like a Cessna Citation. Anything with jets can make this a lot easier. You can use some of the fixed-wing propeller aircraft as well. Recommend the dual engine ones. Otherwise, getting to the top is almost impossible. Especially when you turn on realism settings and stuff like that. So keep that in mind if you're looking to explore Mount Everest. So we're just continuing on our way here. Just continuing to gain altitude as we head towards Mount Everest. We're about 16 nautical miles away. As you can see, we should be able to see it shortly, cresting this mountain peak in front of us here. And then we'll make a north to northeast turn to head towards Mount Everest. So right now about 13,850 feet and continuing to climb. Forward airspeed is good. It's about 45 knots. I expect that number to drop to like 20 or 30 when the air starts to thin out. That usually is what happens. As you can see, the number is already starting to tick downward. Hopefully we don't hit like a spot where we can't go anywhere else. But we'll see. So there is the summit of Mount Everest. So let's go ahead and here and make a turn and head northeast at about 34 degrees. Keep it right around here for now. Maybe turn just a little bit more. We're at 14,400 feet right now and continuing to climb. At one point, this probably was all frozen land, ice, glaciers, and everything else here when the climate was drastically different than it is today. As you can see, there's still snow on all the tops of the mountains. If anybody's ever seen the movie Waterworld, with Kevin Costner, really good movie, actually. In the end, they end up getting to land, and that land actually is the peak of Mount Everest, which is kind of cool. Kevin Costner is actually a pretty good actor in that movie. It was a really good movie in the 90s. I liked when they go all the way down to the bottom when the girl wanted to see dry land, and it turns out to be a city, I presume like New York City or something like that. Alright, continuing forward, we're past 15,500 feet. As you can see, there's nothing below us but trees and mountains and a little stream in the middle. One thing that's pretty cool about the Volocopter is the heads-up display down there. Shows you like a topographical 3D rendering of your area that's surrounding you. So you could fly by that in the inclement weather, fog, stuff like that, snowstorms. So we're just continuing on our northeast trajectory here. Past 16,000 feet. We are 12 nautical miles away from Mount Everest. Slow and steady wins the race on this aircraft. But this aircraft is really cool to fly. I enjoy it a lot. If you want to see the scenery and just be able to enjoy the sights and sounds of the virtual world in Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you want to do plane spotting at an airport, this plane is really cool. You can take off, hover at a certain altitude, and just watch the runway and see planes land. If you're into that kind of stuff like me, that's really cool to do. There's so many things you can do with this aircraft. You can land it in unique places that you can't land a fixed-wing aircraft in because of distances, impossibility, stuff like that. This plane is pretty cool for that kind of stuff. And it's just such an easy to fly. And this aircraft is getting ready for helicopters in Flight Simulator. As of the making of this video, it's Sunday, October 9th, and helicopters are not out yet. So they're supposed to come out in like November, December of this year, I believe. But as of right now, they're not yet. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they bring some new activities and landing challenges. I used to love the Flight Simulator, the previous version, the helicopter landings that you could land on the roof in New York City. There was the oil rig. I think there was stuff like that. Those were so much fun. But flying helicopters is not easy, especially if you don't have rudder pedals. It makes it a significant challenge. so everybody knows, I am playing this game with a Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTUS 1. I have multiple videos up there about this flight stick. I can show it to you real quick actually here. It is an awesome flight stick and it works really well. As you can see, I got the flight stick tilted forward here because I am using it to keep me pointed downward. I got to keep the nose down here to make the plane go forward. So that's what I'm doing. Now, a bunch of you may ask, why aren't you playing this on that giant TV behind you? My Xbox is actually behind me, and what I have is cables routed around the room that are connected to a video capture card inside my computer, such that I can play it on any screen that I have here on my desk and record at the same time. So I can do live streaming, all this stuff, right from the comfort of my computer without actually having to be facing the TV, or if my kids are using the TV, etc. It's a pretty nice setup actually. It allows me to record in 4K. Well, we're getting there. We're at 18,400 feet right now. Vertical speed is 690. So we're stopped here for a minute. I'm just going to level off for a minute and let this gain some altitude here. That's what I'm doing, because we're starting to get closer. So I need to get up higher, because as you can see, I got to get all the way up there, and we're down here still. So we're raising up altitude right now, and then we'll start moving again. I'm thinking I'll probably make a gentle turn to the north, head around this mountain peak, and start heading up towards Everest Base Camp 1. I scouted this before I flew, so I kind of know where I want to go here. Then we can head to Base Camp 2, 3, 4, and then the summit, and hopefully we can land on the summit. That is my goal here. We'll see how that goes. We're at 19,000 feet. 19,200 right about now. So here, I don't have to do anything. I can just, as you can see, I'll show you here. I have the flight stick just let go, throttles all the way up, and we're, just going to reach the summit here. So we're just trying to reach the summit and just letting it rise in altitude. Once I get over 20-some thousand feet, I'll probably start moving again, and we'll continue on our way. I think this would make for an awesome tourist trip to do something like this. You wouldn't have to climb the mountain, risk your life in the mountain, be freezing cold in the mountain, take the list of things, goes on and on and on. But again, I don't think those kind of flights are feasible. Now, I could very well be wrong in that. I've never looked into it. I've never done it. So, living on the northeastern part of the United States, it's not like I can exactly go here. So, I just think it would be kind of cool. Pay someone to charter a flight for you to the summit of Mount Everest. While we're waiting, let's actually look up that. Has a flight ever landed on top of Mount Everest? Okay, so on May 14th, 2005, a helicopter set the highest altitude landing in a Eurocopter AS-350 touchdown on the 29,029 foot summit of Mount Everest. Interesting. I actually did not know that was possible. I would assume that would have to have been a souped up helicopter to be able to do something like that. Let's look up a little more about it here. It's pretty cool, actually. So he did it as a public relations investment, got sponsors. Yeah, here it is. Passenger seats were removed and the pilot's cockpit was taken off to avoid a buildup of ice on the glass. On the morning of May 14th, 2005, the pilot departed solo from the Lukla Airport, which is where we took off, where he flew the helicopter nearly 20,000 vertical feet in search of the serious updraft he needed to lift the helicopter to the summit with virtually no power necessary. At such altitudes above 25,000 feet, the air is so thin and unpredictable that it becomes almost impossible to generate any lift entirely. I can see that. The pilot's summit attempt thus required some expert navigation of the downwards and upward drafts, and once arriving at the summit, he was required to forcibly push the skis of the helicopter into the mountain to keep it there. On one face of the mountain there was a strong updraft, and on the other a strong downdraft, making the summit a perilous place to be. Alright, let's go ahead here and turn and start moving forward. The pilot managed to keep the helicopter hovering on the small surface area of the summit at 7:08 a.m. local time for a total of 3 minutes and 50 seconds. The altitude at the time was 6,500 feet higher than the helicopter's listed maximum altitude. Upon his departure, just a small pullback on the controls allowed for the strong updraft to whisk him off the top and gain significant momentum for his descent. Amazingly, when he returned to the airport, the pilot found that all the cameras and flight data recorders that were meant to register his record attempt had failed to do so. Rather than wait for experts to recover the data, he actually did the same flight over again the next day just to prove his point. So that's pretty interesting. No one yet has yet to mimic that landing. The record for the highest altitude flight in a helicopter still belongs to Jean Boulet, who reached a height of 40,820 feet in a helicopter. That's crazy. Alright, so moving forward here, we're heading towards the Mount Everest here still. 6.82 nautical miles away. You can see a pretty beautiful view behind us to the side. Alright. Slowly but steady, we're getting there. $23,500 feet. So my plan is to get around this first portion of the mountain in the upper right corner there and head towards base camp 1. Let's make a nice turn to the right here. So basically to make these kind of gentle turns, I'm just twisting the flight stick while keeping it pointed forward. We're under 6 nautical miles away. There's some beautiful views. Look at the distance, how far it's just nothing but mountains. Oh, we're 5.20 nautical miles away. We're at 24,600 feet right now. So we're getting there. We're about 5,000 feet from the altitude I want to be at. If you look closely at that mountain to the right, you see how it's rendering when as it moves. It's like re-rendering in pieces. But look at the look at off in the distance. There's just nothing but mountains. So we should be able to see Base Camp 1 shortly as we crest this mountain here, this part of the mountain. There it is. I could see it. I was just couldn't see it from the angle I was in. So we're almost above Mount Everest Base Camp 1. You can see it right down below the cockpit there. Alright, so let's make a nice turn here. And we'll come over this mountain peak, the side of the mountain here, as I am high enough to clear it. And we'll come up this valley. There is Base Camp 2. As you can see the point down below there. Try and show it to you as I fly over. I'll look down. There it is. Base camps, for those who don't know, are predefined resting areas for people climbing Mount Everest. Now, I've heard from, just research and watching things about Mount Everest that climbing it is not as hard as it used to be because they've made it easier for climbers to do by way of hooks and various things to assist with the climb to the summit. I'm not sure how true that is, but I have heard it before. They put like ropes and like things driven into the rock to help you along your way as a path, and resting stations. I don't know how true that is, other than the base camps. I know they exist. So it'd be kind of cool to see if people scale on this, and if they added little graphics to like the spots, you see people like going up the side of it and stuff. That'd be cool. But this game's detailed, but it's not that detailed. I'll go off to the right here. Wow, look at that. Looking off to the north. So we're heading east right now. 95-degree heading. We are at 26,800 and 900 feet. 26,900 feet. We are almost there. Gonna have to get ready to do some flying here soon. Maneuvering. There's Mount Everest Camp 3. There's another coming up on Mount Everest Base Camp 4. So once I get to the next base camp here, I'll probably level off and gain the rest of the altitude I need to get to the summit, because I'm still not high enough yet. Believe it or not, after all of this, I am still not high enough to reach the summit of Mount Everest. So we're going to get ready here to do some maneuvering. Got my hand on the throttle. I have not let go of the flight stick since we left. Alright, so we're at the base camp. That's a beautiful view. Let's go ahead and tilt north and level off here. Stop our forward airspeed. Now as you can see, I'm still drifting east. So what I need to do is pull the flight stick to the west to get me to stop moving eastward. So basically I'm going to pull the flight stick left and stop that movement. So as you can see, I'm going to bank left a little bit here to stop my eastward movement and line up with the summit. Now, got to get up some more altitude here, so we're just going to let it sit and give my hand to rest for a minute. Look off to the left there. Pretty beautiful view. Look off to the right, another beautiful view, nothing but mountains. Alright, switch to an external view here. We are just about high enough to get to the summit. We're at 28,500 feet.
Volocopter Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra. Request clearance to transition Charlie airspace.
Volocopter Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Kathmandu Center.
0.6 nautical miles away. So as you can see, we're moving forward slowly here because the nautical miles are dropping. I have the flight stick just tilted forward a little bit. So it looks like I'm about high enough. Coming up on 28,850 feet. Once we get to about 29,000 feet, we'll start to move forward here. Because it looks like I am now high enough. Alright, so we're going to try and stop our vertical movement here. I have to literally feather the throttle because things are different this high. So vertical speed, I've got it down to 100. And let's go ahead and move forward. I'm going to do this nice and slow. Airspeed's actually not even registering. So we're at 29,010 feet right now. So what I'm going to do is try and get over the summit, level off, and try and drop down right where the pin is for the landmark marker. Now this is going to take might take a little bit of trial and error, but let's see how this goes. I'm afraid I'm going to slide, because if I land in any spot that's not perfect, I'm going to slide right off one of the sides of the mountain. So I got to be ready to throttle back up here at a moment's notice. Alright, so let's tilt back. So I'm doing. Sorry, I keep switching views. I need to see where I'm at in relation to the summit here. There, drift to the right a little bit and back. Alright, it's looking down. This looks like a good spot to try and land. So let's stop the backward movement. Lower the throttle. Coming down. We're at 28,700 feet. 28,777 feet. This looks like it's going to work. Here we go. Let's see what happens. And we're down. Oh no, we're sliding. We're sliding. Throttling back up. I was worried this was going to happen. Okay, we are airborne again. Whoa, maybe not. Okay, now we're airborne. Phew. Okay, that's what I was worried about. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Okay, we need to find a better spot here. So let's back up again. Right there looks good. That looks like a spot. Now I gotta see if I can just get in position here. So I need to throttle down again. Shift left. Alright, so we'll level. Let's bring it over this way. Alright, this looks like a really good spot. Let's go forward a little bit. I see where I'm going to try and land right next to that pin again. It looks like there's a good patch there. So I'm going to move forward, go forward, bring it down, bring it down some more. Stop our forward movement, and move forward some more, and bring it back, kill the engines. Nope. Back in the air. This is harder than it looks. Okay, this is actually pretty good. Okay, here we go. Kill the engines. Oh, yes. We are down. We have landed on the summit of Mount Everest. I'm drifting, a little sliding, actually. And, okay, there. We are down again. We have landed on the summit of Mount Everest. We are at 28,756 feet above sea level. This is awesome. I didn't actually think I'd be able to do this. I figured I would slide right off the edge. Let's go ahead here and power down the plane here. So we need to turn on the, open up the switches, turn off the upper arm, turn off the lower arm, and the engines have stopped. We'll close the covers. And we can take in the view from 28,756 feet above sea level. Sorry about that. This is an awesome view. Look at that view. That is amazing. This is really cool. I did not think that this was going to work. I figured I was going to land and just keep sliding right off the edge. There seems to be a patch of a grassy area on top of the summit. I figured this would have been snow, but apparently not. Hope everybody enjoyed this video as much as I had making it. As always, please click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to enable notifications. I'm going to have new and exciting content coming soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you around.